All right, welcome to February TriEmbed. No new members. Any announcements? Nothing in particular?
Not for me.
Okay. The Forge is doing something for Engineering Day later this month. It's Saturday, February 21st. It will be at the John Deere building somewhere in Cary. They'll do their normal outreach, showing off robots, SumoBots maybe, making buttons. Last year they had some panel discussions about AI. I don't know if they're going to do that this year.
I've offered to make ice cream for the
Liquid nitrogen.
with liquid nitrogen. Yes. Well, I'm gonna make it with, yeah.
Not hand crank.
Hand crank? I did a hand crank a long I, time. no, this is, it's, if they buy me a tank, I'll, bring my doer along and, you've got to, I tried it once and you've got to actively whisk it while the nitrogen goes in, otherwise.
You get a
it
solid
becomes
outside.
the log. Yeah, the log. You can't wait 30 seconds. It's the nitrogen is kind of cold and just a little, yeah.
Rars Fest is early April. Historically, I represent TriEmbed there at the table. As far as I know, I'll be doing that again this April. I have not signed up for a table yet, but if you haven't been to Rars Fest, it's a big swap meeting with lots of tables that old junk on it.
So, does TriEmbed, I forget, do anything there?
I bring things and talk to people about what we do and about.
People just display some of their projects. I did it 2 years ago. I think I displayed something.
So I've helped out before, but always on behalf of Splat Space, and so I did the Learn to Solder table, and so I don't remember what TriEmbed did, but I'm actually no longer Splat Space member.
It's nothing that's super active. It's kind of a passive thing where people just walk by and look at stuff that we've worked on. We just have a table or two. Paul has most of the stuff there. He brings his bike with the wheel on it. Usually.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
It's at the fairgrounds. I forget which
What's the building?
it's in, but it's always in the same one.
It's always in the same building.
We
Is
have
it
to buy
the
a
Grand
ticket.
Building?
I don't know.
I think it doesn't matter, but anyway. And do you recall how much it is to get in? Because I know that's the thing.
Advance tickets are 10. I
Okay,
think on the day of the show it's 12.
and that's per day.
It's only a one-day show.
I thought, okay. I thought it was.
They
Oh,
want
I
you to
know.
come set up on Friday.
That's why is the setup
And
day
show
and then
Saturday.
taking
What
things
day
down.
is it on?
Is April 4th this Saturday?
4th is a Saturday, yes.
I believe it's April 4th. I think there is a Maker Fair in Asheville also on April 4th. At one point I was thinking of going, but I realize now I have
Conflict.
something else to do. Anything else anybody knows about?
Do you recall when the Burlington Maker Fair is? Or
I'm not sure they had one last year.
okay.
No, otherwise.
It was always on the same weekend as the SciTech Expo down in Raleigh, and so I've lost track of that Maker Fair. But So I don't know if they had one last year.
It was formerly the largest Maker Faire in North Carolina. Maker Faire Burlington. No, I'm not gonna log in on Facebook, sorry.
Remember, they had it once at the university and they never did it again.
It's usually at the Holly Hill Mall. Which
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
It was at the mall one time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep, yep.
There was a fair that
There was one
at
in
the
2022.
fairgrounds.
There was
Maker
one in
Faire
Raleigh.
Fairgrounds. It died.
Yep.
And then it got rejuvenated at the university 1 year.
Oh, Wake
And then-
Tech.
Yeah,
Wake Tech did.
and then
one
never
year.
did it, they never did it again.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot. I went and it was,
As of 2020, the future of the event was uncertain following the closure of Steam Junction. All right, so problem of the month? I didn't have one until an hour or two ago. So I'm doing SumoBot here at the Forge in March 21st-ish. Forget whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday.
got lost.
Come in. Hi, Shane.
I'm almost reluctant to point out that it's not through 103.
It's 101. I guess what went out was 103. Huh?
I just looked it up. It's like, no, I'm in the right place. I think it's the right day even.
Did they point you in the right direction?
Linda hooked me up.
Okay, so the problem of the month. So with SumoBot, almost all SumoBots have line sensors because you have to stay inside the 3-foot circle. 3-foot circle, black circle with white perimeter. The next sensor most people add is a distance sensor, ultrasonic distance sensor of some sort. And so you're looking around and all of a sudden at your one little direction that you're looking, there's a target 23 inches ahead of you. Hey, Scott.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
No problem. Do you have any announcements other than RAR's Fest?
I really need somebody else to control organizing that because I'm not gonna be able to do it with all my other obligations this year. If nothing else, I mean, if it's Maker's Island or something doesn't get put together, I'm just gonna get my own table.
Okay. Other things going on?
Many.
An engineering day thing that the Forge is doing.
I don't know if anybody here wants to participate in or go over to the Crop Hunger Walk. It's a 5K run walk on Palm Sunday. Some of us can't walk.
That's the 5th of April.
Yeah,
I believe, the day after.
it's the week before Rars Fest.
The week before, or?
Because Rars Fest I thought was on Easter weekend this year. Am I wrong?
On 4th, I think. Didn't we just say that?
That's what I
Yeah.
told people. Well, I could be wrong.
last weekend at the TriEmbed meeting, last month, that's what we decided.
RAR's Fest on the 4th.
Yes.
April 5th is Easter.
That's what I
You're
thought.
saying it's the Sunday 29th or so?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how. $5 for a t-shirt if you participate, but it's whatever money you wanna get in pledges and stuff and participate doing it. It just helps feed the hungry. It's a national organization, but Raleigh has theirs at a different time of the year. I know Wake Forest is always the last full weekend of September. I do Wake Forest and Durham. But something to look out for, you know, if you guys are interested. I've got electronic signage that I'm putting up on it.
Along the route.
No, at the beginning, because I participate with the community band, the Durham Community Band, so we're playing.
Okay.
And since the news stations are gonna be there, you know, you got NNO, you got Channel 11, you know, all these guys. I'm putting up a signboard, 4 foot wide signboard for them to have their announcements and things and all that fun stuff. Not fancy, nothing that we all haven't done before. By the way, did you guys see my email about some of those Tesla plasma speakers?
I saw the email, I didn't have a chance to go through it.
Was that today?
Yeah,
Okay.
today you sent it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I just didn't have time to set it so that you guys can put it on the show and tell, but plasma speakers. It's kind of neat, you know, how you can pulse them properly and have them sing.
For Tesla automobiles?
Nope.
No.
Just like a standard Tesla coil.
I made one many years ago,
What, a Tesla coil or a Tesla speaker?
you know, Tesla coil. Stood about that high. I had wire wrap all the way around it.
One of the guys, one of the videos has them like 5 foot or 6 foot high, and he has 4 of them
Wasn't that?
for all the 4 voices of a song.
Yeah, I made mine, when I was in high school. That's how long ago I made it.
Okay, so back to the problem of the month. So at some point, your distance sensor tells you that there's something in front of you, 12 inches, 20 inches, whatever, it tells you how far it is. And so you go running off toward where you think it is, and it disappears. The next time you check your sensor, it's gone. Because it was moving maybe, or you're turning, or
Reflections?
no, you saw it there, and then that robot moved that way, and the next time you look and you don't see it.
I
But
just
maybe,
saw something like
but
this.
maybe the robot moved that way. So it would be really nice to know, you had him acquired, but you lost him. And it would be nice to know if he was to the right or to the left or to the right.
How do like fighter planes and those type things keep a lock on something that's moving out ahead of them?
Money.
Well, besides that, no, I worked on a similar
They
system.
have more than one beam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a couple of beams, you can detect the edge. There's nothing there, but there's something there, and there's something there, and there's something there. So I know that it's off to the right.
They actually, to be honest with you, it's a pulsing beam going like this, and they have another one going like this.
There's probably no moving objects in it these days. It's all
Right.
electronically steered.
But
So-
it's like your multi-beam idea. They're looking for that edge detection and does that edge move a pixel or two, or move a degree or two, or micro degree or two, or something like that.
So that's the problem I kind of want to solve.
What is your, the beam is just like a LED type beam?
So you can get different kinds. There are ultrasonic, which is a chirp, and you listen for the echo, and you time a flight. The speed of sound in air. Right?
Certain temperatures, humidities, elevations.
There are laser, LiDAR kind of ones. There are infrared, LED projector detector, to detect the reflection.
So
But
essentially,
most of the
there's no width to the beam for,
there's a cone, okay, but you get one answer.
okay.
right? So
Kind of like a Doppler radar kind of a
it
thing.
goes chirp and then goes out and there's a cone or a, a megaphone that directs the noise that way. Okay? But it spreads and then it comes back and you do a time flight.
Now, how does a flare do it? I've seen a flare like find a beehive behind your drywall, and it actually is giving you the heat over the whole hive. And so it's a pretty wide picture, but then you can.
That's got multiple pixels, right? So it's an image.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you're not talking about that.
No, I think
Okay, this infrared it's the 38 kilohertz pulse modulated, so it detects that there's a reflection and then it estimates the distance.
yeah, and you get one answer and you're running on a 8-bit CPU running 20 megahertz, 16 megahertz. Or if you got a fancier one, it's a little faster, but it's not up to doing image processing.
There is, somebody has used multiple ultrasonic devices they built out of little modules, basically a phased array. It puts out multiple pulses and listens for multiple responses. And so you could do a phased array.
So is each sensor listening for echoes from multiple things?
You can direct essentially ping.
You got multiple pingers and one receiver.
You're creating interference patterns and node patterns.
Yep.
And because I totally forgot about that, because in broadcasting, you have multiple towers building your broadcast lobe shape. And speakers in an auditorium.
There are a number of ways you could do that. So if you could have them chirp individually, or you could have them chirp all at once, and listen for the patterns. Basically, you could use you would essentially be steering the ultrasonics, and with it. I mean, two of them chirping at different times would give you, with slightly different angles, would give you more information.
Okay.
And three of them would give you even more information. So if you have one pointing left, one pointing right, one pointing straight ahead, then if you listen, that would give you an indication whether they've moved left, right, or straight ahead.
Remember that antenna array when you go down Cary Parkway near where 54 hits it? There used to be 4 antennas there, 4 towers.
You say so? I don't remember.
And they were broadcasting in a phased array.
They're not there anymore.
No, I think the towers are torn down, like just recently.
Yeah, some AM stations do that
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
in order to actually get the beam to go in a certain direction.
This was WPTF and their license changed, so they can go on the directional now.
All cell towers steer their communications.
And they do different distances, so they not only have sectors for overlays, but their overlays, due to phasing and stuff, they can do different frequencies, like typically 3 to 9 overlays per angle section. Sometimes your angled sections are 60-degree and sometimes they're narrower.
You can live close to a cell tower and have no coverage because it's all steered toward the interstate. And you're in a field behind, and you're the only customer that's ever been in that part of the lobe of the thing, and you don't really care much.
I did a job in the mid-90s that was exactly that, catching the toll ticketing records, and we could, I was taking it and using the GNU plot, put it up on the monitor for the engineering team, so that they could assign, change frequencies or assign more frequencies to a sector that needs it. And it was interesting because in Columbus, you could watch the crowd of frequencies being demanded for coming in the morning and going out in the evening, down the interstates.
Okay, any other ideas for different sensors or? If you knew where you were on the 3-foot court, what do you call them?
Dojo?
I don't think sumos call them dojo.
You,
That's what I'm.
I've got some little various frequencies radar units. I've got a 24 gigahertz and like a 5 gigahertz. If I were doing it, I'd probably take a magnetron from a microwave, and when it was ahead of me, just turn the magnetron on and win.
There's a 1
Just radar, just by
there's
detection.
a 1 kilogram weight limit.
Well,
How
You're gonna need a little.
it's
How did Peter Renchase do it when he was projecting things onto a floor from above and he could like sense where the kids are at jumping and he could have the little creatures projected to chase them?
Structured light from a mirror projector.
Not necessarily. I think he was doing it on
Yeah,
Raspberry
looking
Pi and with the Python edge detection, I think is how he was doing it. Oh, Don was more familiar with that.
You're talking about at the museum or his own project?
His own project that he did at several shows and you
That was
demonstrated one at a
pre-me.
museum.
Well, the one at the museum is, they had money, so that's not a mystery how they did that. But I don't know, that was pre-me, I think. I don't recall it.
Justin Peters would be the guy to ask too, because I think he worked with Peter on that one.
If you knew if you were on the left hemisphere or the right hemisphere of the circle, okay, and you lose them, you can do a
Process of elimination, mathematical elimination.
50% choice of which way to turn. If you knew, if he went off that way, it doesn't really matter, because he's gonna run off
The same thing's true that if he's off, you can eliminate one half of your data set. And then you can check that data set and eliminate, in other words, do a standard, that mathematical term for breaking it down into,
Binary search.
yeah. A sorting algorithm kind of a thing.
Is it feasible for you to spin or rotate yourself to look?
which way you're gonna spin, right or left.
Well, it depends how fast you can spin.
Okay.
And
Why?
how fast they can move. I don't.
She's thinking like bumper cars, if you're chasing
Well,
somebody wanting to
You
bump
could
them.
actually have 2 tiers and they can go a 2-tiered spot.
You could just always pick right. If you don't get another hit, boom, go left.
Isn't that how police search places when they go in? They always go left?
I have no idea. I have to watch TV next time.
When you play the old rogue game, you always search left to sit there and find the monsters.
You can prefer to traverse the circle either clockwise or counterclockwise.
That's what I meant, yeah.
And then if you maintain that, you can kind of better than 50% guess which direction to turn.
if you know where you are, then you can use that information to make a reasonably educated guess what they're doing.
Like where were they last time?
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to go out of the game circle. So they're going to probably statistically move to the place where there's the most space. And so you could use some sort of a Bayesian statistic AI model and work out what their optimum strategy is.
How are you gonna figure out where you are on the circle?
Well,
You gotta track that. You gotta keep track of
if you know where the boundaries are, you know what you've done. So you've got, you know approximately where you are.
With odometry?
You integrate the, your wheels are moving at a reasonably constant velocity. So you sort of, make a half-ass attempt at integrating your, the amount of current you're dumping into the wheels.
it.
And
Or,
that would give
or
you,
sense the wheel turn.
yeah, sense the wheel turning, I was thinking you could just deal with the current sensor. But if you,
Rotary encoders.
yeah, I mean, if you sort of know approximately where you are, then you can make an educated guess as to what their best strategy is. And their best strategy is to stay in the fighting area. So you could use that information to sort of create a meta, at one level, work out what they're most likely to do. And that wouldn't be a reason that, if you know approximately where you are, that wouldn't be a hard thing to do. It's if you know there's not much room on the left, then you presume they're going to move to the right.
A little smarter search algorithm.
Well, so is it common for the other bot to also have a sensor like you have? Like, are they detecting you in their decision of where to move? Is that likely?
So,
Usually it's if I see somebody full throttle ahead. That's the
so
amount.
there's no evasion type think about either.
People think about it a lot, but I've never seen anybody implement it or implement it effectively. Say, well, if I'm being pushed, I'm gonna juke back around and zoom around to
That
the
would
back of
negate your
them,
positioning thing. If you're being pushed, you're gonna do skid or have.
push around, get around behind them and push them.
Use an accelerometer,
Yeah.
and just integrate the accelerometer. Double integrate. It won't be great, but if you have the feedback of knowing where the boundary is, double integration will give you, it'll give you a good approximation.
You can break the circle up in kind of a grid.
It's and that's just a quick accelerometer chip, and you get one of the 9-axis ones that has a compass built in that would give you, very crude sense of position. And that I would think once you had position, you could make crude guesses as to what they're going to do.
The level of sophistication you're talking, the opponents will not have this level of sophistication. So what they're doing is random, essentially. But they do stay inside the ring. So when they hit the white line, they turn some amount to stay inside the circle.
Are you allowed to cheat?
As long as you don't get
What's
caught.
cheating?
I was just thinking of putting a white paint down as you go.
When you said that, I was thinking of that white red tape that you get at Harbor Freight, the reflective tape.
Yeah, just, it's,
So my robot 2 times ago was a bulldozer kind of thing, and it had a white skirt in front of the bulldozer that I would attempt to get under my opponents
Perhaps persuade.
and make them think that they were on the edge and back up.
Okay.
Lego.
Yep, Lego, bulldozer, no detection, and that was the common detection.
That's ultrasonic. red eyes.
I
think.
don't remember ultrasonic versus the infrared.
Show it to the camera.
Well, but
Uh,
No, it wasn't, not his camera.
Ah.
That one.
you let,
or we could do a screen share, but,
No, that's
there we go.
Yeah, that's good.
all right.
They didn't cheat per se, but they did do it differently than everyone else, and they got the big trophy. That everyone drove out of the box. You had to drive out of the box before you can attack your opponent. Everyone drove out of the box and then turned to face their opponent. They backed out of the box and turned 15 degrees and then just ran as hard as they could go.
Brute force.
So they hit the other robot before they finished their turn. So they could just shove them sideways out. They had sensors to do the same thing. They saw the ring, they would just back up, turn, and then go. And then back up and turn and go. And, they had the smallest wheels also, so they had the most torque.
I was just thinking about some of the physics that we just saw with the curling competitions and how that might apply to this. Or, shuffle.
You don't want to be doing dynamic friction. Is that what the curling is all about sliding?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
On SumoBots, you don't want your wheels sliding. If you can avoid it.
No, I was thinking the opposite. Aggressive.
Smaller wheels have more torque?
Yes.
I mean, more,
Yes, they have more torque because the torque arm is so for whatever speed you can turn it, the closer you go to a zero radius, the higher the force, the slower you go,
yeah,
but the more torque you can exert on the playing field. So the robot was not the fastest,
just the strongest.
just the strongest. And they also use 4 motors. But, they also use, those are the older NXT motors because they had a higher power specification than the newer EV3 motors. They also tested a bunch of different tire combinations and picked the ones that pulled the strongest.
Fascinating.
That was at the Triangle Math and Science Lego SumoBot in 2018. It was a lot of fun.
There are some very, very sticky materials you could put around your tires.
When it has pressure, it's sticky, and when it relieves the pressure, it's no longer sticky.
That was at the Lego, what, Legos?
The Triangle Math and Science
Triangle.
Lego SumoBot. They have traditionally they have in the spring I guess it's probably April or May, Lego SumoBot and a Lego line follower competition. They did both of those that year as programming exercises to learn to use the EV3 brick. And they, for the middle school category, they brought home first place for SumoBot and for the line follower. The line follower was interesting though, that it was a dead heat and they had to have a runoff between 2 different robots, and the other robot ran off the course.
Was it reflective or contrast?
You could use either mode. You could use color sensors and detect a color, or you could set thresholds and do it by using thresholds.
Contrast, yeah. The Bell Labs, a big, huge factory out of the AT&T factory. By the way, it was 5E and 4E switches. Everything was delivered to the workstations via robot, and in our Bell Labs building, all our mail was delivered to us via robot.
They followed lines on.
They were line followers.
Using contrast or
I suspect
reflection?
those were color.
Nope,
No color.
nope. Infrared and reflective, which means as the lines would wear, as carts and everything roll over them, that residue that was still left was still reflective enough for the sensor that it didn't have skips or problems in the line.
There is stuff to do with centimeter accuracy GPS.
Centimeter?
There is, centimeter accuracy.
How many satellites would it have to view at once?
I don't know whether it uses.
I think it's differential with a local fixed reference.
Yeah, but there's a
Oh, an enhancement.
the Swiss guy who does microcontrollers had a thing which I did not watch on centimeter accuracy GPS. And I just remember it flashed by and I said, I should watch this and didn't.
Now I know why the Indians are putting up so many more satellites, because if you can get 10 satellites signal, you can increase your accuracy tremendously compared to what our standard phones are only using 4 satellites at a time. I mean, it can work on one, but 4 satellites gives you much, what is it, 1 meter or 10 meter accuracy, something like that.
I don't think you can do it with one. It requires more than one.
No, it requires at least 4 in line of sight, because they're always moving in your thing. But if you can continuously have 4 in your line of sight.
I thought 3 would be the minimum to get localization. In other words, to figure out where you are, maybe not super accurately, like 4 or more.
One satellite moving gives you a point of reference, point of reference, point of reference, point of reference, point of reference.
Just the distance.
You say the Indians?
As in South
Country of
Asia.
India.
Oh,
India.
India.
Not like the Cherokee.
That's what I was asking that. Cherokees are pretty
Casinos
smart.
are way more.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now, the South Asian Indians are definitely firing off a lot of satellites here lately. Like just 200 of them went up last week.
I think it would get crowded up there.
Yes, that
It
was
is.
the whole article. This was in Space Magazine, and they were just talking about
They already have a satellite junkyard up there.
you've got 4 major countries putting up a shitload of satellites, all similar functions, but no one wants to talk with each other. And
You've got a parking orbit where they try and park the dead satellites
That's-
so they don't collide with things.
No, there's actually a graveyard. There's actually a place
Yeah,
where.
yeah.
What's the lock when the orbit has too much trash in it? If you get enough junk up there, you're.
they're actually talking about a space plow to gather the debris and junk in such a way that they can deorbit it safely.
Yeah, I saw one that was interesting.
Send it out to the sun.
That
All
takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be fast. They could.
No, but you have to escape.
Burn it.
You gotta
You
escape.
got both
Burn it in
moon
the
and Earth,
atmosphere.
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised how much influence our gravity actually has, how far out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still 90% Earth gravity at the space station.
It's even further than that. Earth itself has a gravitational force. If you ever look at the L1 and L2
Brother
Lagrange
Ringo.
points,
Way out.
yeah, exactly. They're like 6 times or 10 times moon distance.
That one of the interesting deorbiting things I saw was they actually would just put a small box on the satellite that would unfurl like a thin film that had enough drag
Just gave it enough
to
drag.
just slow it down.
They had to put the Webb telescope.
Well, there's another one, even if it doesn't have much drag, if you can unbalance the weight, the mass, if your mass is unbalanced and stuff, it'll start tumbling and
It'll wobble.
deorbit.
But you don't know where it's going to land, and that really fits you bad.
That's a problem for later.
Yeah.
Somebody was showing me how they attach with a string the deorbiting mass, and then they'll haul in the string to go faster, like ice skaters do.
Right, any other comments about SumoBots? Right, show and tell?
Actually, I have a question for Dawn
Okay,
on the one that she did a few months ago.
the driveway.
Did you
issues?
ever solve that light problem?
Well, I have an ugly prototype out there, which is a bit ironic that that's what I wanted to do, is not have something ugly out there. But so over the holidays, my kids so I liked the 1.5 ton rock, except for the 1.5 ton nature of it. So they took 5 old flower pots and filled them with gravel and put them kind of around an arc around the problem area, and then just stuck these posts in them and actually put a string of lights connecting them. And so I'm slowly acquiring things to make that more aesthetic. And so the kind of, but what I would like to do is not, I still haven't gotten to the sensor part of it or the light part of it, because right now there's just a regular plugged into the outlet extension cord going out to the lights there. And they're on all the time. And so I don't want either of those features, so
Has it
that's still back to,
impacted or changed the behavior of the delivery people at all?
oh yeah,
So it's
and me
working.
too.
Okay, good.
Yeah, nobody has run into anything there.
Very
So,
good.
yeah, except for,
There's switches that you can get to automatically turn on Christmas tree lights. So
What I was thinking, I was just looking up because I
yeah,
had done this for a couple of shows, DMX based lighting.
Yeah,
So you can use, different signaling down, a wire that typically is MIDI type of signaling. And then the relay itself can be controlled via DMX.
so say that again, please.
DMX.
Yeah.
Digital something controls, kind of what it stands for.
Okay.
stage lighting.
But, yeah, if you just look up light control DMX, you're gonna get a whole shitload of information.
Okay,
Because all those light shows and everything that you see at rock concerts and these Christmas shows, people's yards and things, that's all DMX controlled.
okay.
It's a lot more than the $9 thing you find at Lowe's at Christmas time that turns your lights on and off.
TP-Link also offers Wi-Fi power outlets, power strips, and dual that are even outdoor rated for use with Christmas lights.
Say that again. Who does
TP-Link,
TP-Link?
TP-LINK.
Yeah, they're the,
Oh, okay.
they're the router people that compete against Cisco.
Yeah, I have a weak spot for them. So I've got travel routers setting at the house and Wi-Fi power strips that I haven't opened yet, but they're really cool. I had to have.
I have a grade 4 antenna router that's also got VLAN capability and everything. And then I have their extenders so that I can like go out my back porch and into my yard with my laptop, no problem.
Used a GLI.net router, a 1300, to set up put a whole Wi-Fi hotspot on my PIA router, so I could watch. What was it I was watching? The Carolina Canes hockey game was locked out, so I put the whole subnet on a VPN and logged it in from there, and had my Apple Wi-Fi connect to the VPN hotspot. Hey, yeah, you can watch it in California, sure.
It's just like watching some Amazon Prime videos as if you're in Europe, in Germany. They Kodak
And they think that
digital rights management.
sending a copy of the G code for your plastic 3D printed gun out is
Yeah,
going to prevent people from making 3D printed guns.
yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah. I guess I was here. Yeah, and they had a workshop at Sumo, and there were these 10, 11-year-olds at the table talking about how they hack the Apple Play something so they could watch YouTube videos while they were in school, and the school has all these things up to prevent all that, but they know how to get around it. So
The guy from Winter Garden did the Marvel music machine many years ago, and of course he's had further iterations. He's showing engineering of how he's done the engineering. He just 3D printed with a resin printer, special resin, silicone adapters for his so when the steel balls come down, they don't clink so loud on the xylophone pieces. He's 3D printed basically wedges with two mounting holes on each side. They mount it in kind of a stretch, and it comes down. So he has it on a sled
above the xylophone key, and it
So on the thin part, it's going to be louder, and then when the sled moves to the thicker part, it's softer. So he actually got a.
That's cool. Volume control.
Mhm.
Swell.
Yeah, I didn't know the silicone would be 3D printed without lines and things.
When I was in Israel a couple of years ago, I had COVID there, so I had to figure out something to do all day. So luckily I had my own VPN and on my own server. It's a socket, what is it? What was it called? So you can't get to like Paramount overseas because it only allows IP addresses in the United States. But with my VPN, I could get to anything in the United States. I was able to watch all of this stuff that,
So I brought my version 2 of the toy box here.
Ah.
This is the follow the leader game, where a light blinks.
No.
Maybe the lights.
Yeah, let's. Oh, let's do this.
well, okay, that's not gonna be too good for the
It would be
video
great.
watchers.
Yeah, well,
Well, they can see the
we
lights.
can see the-
They couldn't see the lights.
Yeah.
And we get to see how quickly
I can do this.
he can reverse his left and right. Woo!
Yay! So that's follow the leader, where a light blinks, and you're supposed to press the blinking light. My 1-year-old, here go to sleep.
Oh, you changed it from the snoring sound from last time.
That was the snoring sound.
I heard the whistle. Ah. Okay.
So I've got some video if you're interested. My 1-year-old grandson loves to push buttons, but he doesn't watch what he's doing. He'll do it like this. And then he'll kiss it. And so blinking lights don't mean anything to him. So I've got. This is the clear the board game. All the lights are on. When you press it, it stays off for a while. So the goal is to clear the board. And you hear it popping back on. And not being able to see, it's a little bit difficult.
How would he respond if you put a thunker in there, a big cell when they went gunk, gunk, when he hit this button?
I think he listens to the sounds.
Okay.
You think he'd respond if he hit the right button, it would make one kind of sound. If he hit the wrong buttons,
I don't know.
kind of a reward type of thing for doing it the right way.
This is the Milton Bradley Simon game.
So I assume you've made 2 of these, one for you to experiment with, and one that grandson has.
There's my 2. So they've played with this one, but I haven't gotten it far enough along that I'm ready to leave it with them.
Yeah.
So, but I will soon. This is follow the leader.
Where'd you get the sounds? Can you go online someplace and just,
The sounds?
yeah,
Yeah, they're WAV files that I downloaded from somewhere. Some of them are recordings I made of myself.
is that an Adreno or what?
It's an ESP32.
ESP32.
Um, these are P.O.T feathers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's the ESP.
Uh-huh.
This is the sound device. It has an SD card which you dump all the WAV files on. This board is a port expander and Darlington transistors to drive higher voltage to the,
And higher currents.
higher currents to the,
It just
The
occurred to me that
LEDs.
I should be,
Yeah, turn that around, so.
so that's the Arduino. ESP32, this is an S3, which is dual core, 240 megahertz, 32-bit processor. This is a clone of the DR player. Wave file. Talk to by some serial commands, and it takes a file off of the SD card and plays it. This is the port expander, which drives the LEDs. And I used 9 separate GPIOs for the switches. That's what drove me to this larger ESP chip. I usually use the C3 Pico, which only has about 9, 8 GPIOs.
Oh.
This one plays a different sound depending on what you're pressing. The rules have to be pretty simple for 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds. They won't be able to play Simon for several years,
But you can.
but I can. The Simon game really annoyed me because there'd be switch bounce issues. You'd be up at the level where there's 10 sounds and you press, you're 100% sure that you pressed them correctly. And it says, no, you didn't. I'm having some issues here.
That sounds like a fun puzzle.
And I've got some logs. How did this guy, it says you pressed that twice. And I said, no, I didn't. It said it was up for, 100 microseconds.
You do know the seminal reference for debouncing embedded systems?
I do.
Jack Gansel?
No.
I will hook you up.
All right.
Well, if you just Google Jack Gansel debounce, he's got the stuff on it.
The code for it, no, it's not the electronic hardware version of it.
Both. And when one will work and when you can't do, and some things you can do in software, some things you can't do in software.
I remember back in class, and that was like, what, 40, 50 years ago? The 2 transistor solution was the simple one, then the 555 timer solution,
Well,
and then there was, of course, the RC.
the irony is that the Arduino people existed forever and didn't have problems with switch bouncing nearly as much as the ESP people and the Raspberry Pi people, because internally the architecture for the 328 microcontroller in the Arduino has Schmidt triggers on the digital inputs, so the hysteresis is built in. So
That was Jack who for the debounce?
Jack Gansel.
Who?
It's spelled I think Gassel, but it's pronounced Gansel, like with Z's. But he recently, recently, probably in the last 2 years, retired his newsletter. But he had a newsletter and taught classes on embedded development. But his is always the reference I go back to for anything related to debouncing. He's actually got a 2-part paper on it where he tested a bunch of different switches and banged on them to see what the longest and shortest debounce times were. And that, frankly, I like using state machines to process the key changes. And it's just like, once you see the first edge to leave a state, you stay there and hang out in the next stable state as long as you want.
Yeah, I'm doing that, and I don't believe. So normally these are little micro sources.
Mhm.
And let's see what these things look like. Within 3 or 4 milliseconds, there's no more bounces. And my software is currently ignoring everything for 10 milliseconds. Every once in a while, I'm getting
What's the fastest
the
that
old-
your sounds play? What's the smallest gap? You said you did debounce for 10 milliseconds. What's the minimum delay between what should be valid button pushes?
whatever your hands can do.
When it's playing it back, when it's playing it for you.
When it's playing, there's no issue.
No, but I'm saying how fast. The thing is that it should allow you to go at least as well. I guess if you have too much debounce, then you debounce it longer than a human would be. But you
In
can-
the old video games, the debounce was typically 100 to 150 milliseconds.
I was gonna say up to 50 milliseconds is pretty much indistinguishable from instantaneous from humans. Humans are slow.
I remember when I used to sell the Atari console, the original one,
The 2600.
2600, those joysticks. So I bounced it all over the place, and it'd be the big reason why everybody came in and wanted to buy new joysticks. Because
They get worse over time.
they're getting worse over time, yeah.
I've got an alarm clock right now.
So did
the
this.
alarm, but it won't set. I see the little light
I
flicker on me.
I
If I push it to the left, it
disassembled my
works.
alarm clock and replaced switches, a bunch of switches in it.
All I
because
did
love
was
my
put an
alarm clock.
RC circuit across it and now it's fine.
I put a cap across this button switch on this left side on this mouse. Specifically because every time I press it, things would start going nuts on the screen. It seems to work fine now. 0.22 microphone. I was gonna put a 0.1, but I couldn't find one in my stash of things small enough.
Yeah, I put just a little cap and a resistor across that button. It just cleaned it right up.
I
You
had
put
to-
this resistor in series cap or in parallel.
Like an L. So I believe the cap
Which you
went to ground,
most of the time.
you know, the main signal on ground
Mhm.
and the resistor to the
He
switch, but it was a
really
low value.
He does have a cool one. Like doing the statement, he's like whole bytes
10 ohms, 30 ohms, and
inputs at a time,
something small.
which I
And
didn't.
so the time constant's pretty small.
I didn't put in the effort to follow the
I actually didn't have wires. I had a circuit board I had to deal with, so I just started it right across the contacts. Seems to work.
That's kind of what I did.
Yeah.
Right, so my volume control on my clock or radio.
scratchy.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That happens.
I only
Get
wanted.
old tuner cleaner and squirt it in there.
Yeah, I've done that. It works for a little while. I only want the first 5% of the pot. And I'd like to expand that range so that I could,
Okay, so
'cause I never,
I do this in audio all the time. If you know the total, like say if it's 150K,
I don't know.
Yeah, but you
It's
can measure
soldered in- It's soldered.
you can
into-
measure it.
Into the board.
And then what you do is you put a fixed resistor
Yeah.
to get you the one, so that the wiper only gives you the small amount. Now, what I tend to
Except you
do.
get this.
Is it in
the
parallel?
response.
Yeah, you do. But the other thing that you can do is you can pull out that potentiometer and put in series a fixed resistor and a variable resistor.
The reason why this happens is because they're not putting in audio taper pots. They're putting in linear pots.
Right.
That's the reason why you're having it.
Right.
They're making it cheap.
Carbon wipers also just wear out, particularly if they're not.
They'll
industrial
get
rated.
scratchy and noisy, period.
Yeah, but if you're only, and ever, even when it was new, only using it in like the first 10% of the turn, it's because they put in the wrong kind of pot.
And you gotta be
Because I
careful
wanna
when you,
wake up to a very, very low volume,
Yeah, okay.
and they've got.
well, do
Scratchy
the
pot
method.
repair if you want to go down a rabbit hole. There's a lot of vintage acoustic, vintage electronic hi-fi stuff that it's an art.
Yep. Yep.
Old amplifiers and
Now,
taps.
now I know what I'm doing for my little hobby on the weekend or
There's
something.
a guy that does YouTube's videos does all this vintage stuff.
There's several, but yeah. I could send you various different channels.
If it were easy to remove the pot, I would have already done it.
Yeah, the problem is
But
it's
it's
not.
hard to get to desolder and
You got a Dremel, right?
Yeah, that'll cut through anything.
just cut some traces here and there.
No hot air gun, just.
Probably a single-sided circuit board. I'm pretty sure it is just a single-sided circuit board.
And you can't get to the soldered side.
I forget why I couldn't. It's a, so there's a,
I've never seen something being hard stop you from taking it apart.
Yeah.
That if you are working with awkward stuff, I really like the Chip Quick low temperature surface mount solder. Just because when you add it to something, it just buys you a lot longer time to get your pliers or tweezers in the right place and pull and take it off. Makes you seem like you're better at what you're doing than you actually are.
you just dilute the solder with this lower temperature thing.
Yep. And when you're done, clean it off with the swab that comes in the kit and you solder in your new one.
Cool.
And once it's off, then you can use a multimeter and measure the resistance on it and get a new one from DigiKey. Either replace it or do the trick where you fold up one leg and air wire from that leg to a pad with resistor. You pad it to be just the range you want.
Put on another little pot.
Yeah. But probably the same pot, lower value, and then use the resistor. So if it's a 50K pot and you only want 10%, then you'd use a 10K pot and then a 4K resistor, and the whole thing goes back and forth. But you got to put it on the right leg, or you'll be at only 90 to 100%. I've done that.
Sure.
That's also in ham radio how you force your tuning to be just a smaller band.
Neat.
You guys heard what I do sometimes. I'll take those wooden cathedral cabinet old radios, the tube radios,
Mhm.
and if there's no way to restore or correct the tube circuit and stuff, gut it out and put a Raspberry Pi SDR type circuit in there where you're emulating the multi bands and being able to tune across on the dial.
Very cool.
So you get the same user use, but they don't know that it's
Work a little static in there and everybody's happy.
put a little distortion in. There we go. Actually, a lot of tube circuits were actually sharper and cleaner than their transistor counterparts.
Well, I know one of the things I was reading about now is the not boutique, what is it, made to order, bespoke audio profiles where you can take a high performance digital amplifier and then say, I want to emulate this old thing.
Yes. The old they're emulating the Hammond organs and they're emulating various different kinds of keyboards from the 1980s and even back to the 1960s on some of them.
Well, there were some that are supposed to be modeling the transfer functions of whatever famous Macintosh amplifier or this other high-end tube amplifier that, well, we matched the transfer function here.
Anybody else?
I just bought myself a 250-watt fiber laser,
Sweet.
which is hooked into the continuous 250 watt.
That has to be cool.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Well, this is the guy that plays with liquid nitrogen.
No. I have chillers, but I have it hooked into a.
So you didn't get that to carve your name on a thermos.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
problems
no,
with
no,
the
no,
neighbor's
no, no, no,
dogs.
no. I have it hooked into a pulse generator, which takes the whole 250 watts and compresses it into a 40 nanosecond pulse.
Wow, what's the energy density on that?
You're talking. It'll put out 7 joules in 40 seconds, which is just illegal. It's
So that's like the power of what's the word I'm looking for? Empire State Building.
yeah, but
Measuring joules or coulombs? Something like that.
Energy.
yeah, no, this is a pretty sophisticated pulse generator, but
Kilojoules.
I'm doing some high energy chemistry And so, you know, I want to do surface chemistry. So we blast the surface of something with shitload of energy. I'm sorry, it's with a lot of energy, and you get reactions only on the surface. But it scares the hell out of me.
That's a good sense
Can
of
you hear it?
self-preservation.
Yeah,
You hear it when it goes off?
yeah. No, it's, you know, we're talking
It's a big
atomic
thing.
bomb level. You know,
Very
energy.
energetic.
Yeah. It's you know, 250 watts alone is, you know, it will happily set anything on fire.
It'll punch a hole through a lot.
Yeah,
Most metals.
it'll you know it'll cut thin metal, and you know it's and then then you compress all that energy into 40 nanoseconds, and
I think I've seen those cut with less power, either 16th or 18th inch steel.
yeah, no, it's a fight. I'm not. I have not tried anything nasty with it.
So did I hear you say that it only, the energy only stays on the surface?
Yeah, if you're trying to do
And so
surface chemistry where you have loose bonds on the surface, so you don't want to, you want to energize the surface of something and not the bulk material. So you put a very, very high powered pulse onto the surface, and you can do different types of chemistry.
What is the property or whatever that makes it stay on the surface instead of
But
letting it roll through it?
Time.
time. You put a very, very
Oh.
it doesn't have time to propagate into the material.
There's no time for the heat to propagate.
So it's
Okay.
How is that similar to some of those doping methods that they use on crystals?
very. Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm doing some similar
It's the
stuff. to
chemistry
that.
he's doing.
And it's, yeah, you,
It's the same thing where you can wave your hand through a fire.
Yeah.
It's at fire temperature and your finger's not, but very short times.
So I thought you said 49 seconds, or am I?
Nano-
40 nanoseconds.
Okay,
Billion
okay.
billions.
All right.
Yeah, it's.
Now I got it.
Work that to the -9 in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very short, it's got big inductors, and it's a sight to behold with that. You know, I've taken the whole 250 watt out. My generator will do a maximum of 70 watts. You know, so I'm not fully exercising the 250 watt laser, but that's, you know, I'm still, you know, that's still scares the hell out of me.
But I wonder what the blast radius is for the EMI from that.
I don't know. My little lab is in a storage locker, which is metal.
Metal.
So metal shed, that's
Yeah,
it's Faraday cage.
yeah.
Check.
But you know, no, big heavy metal fiber thing with probably 50 sub lasers in the thing. Ugh. But it will put a lot of energy into the surface.
Somebody paying you for this?
He could answer
He
that. They'd have to
refuses.
kill you.
I've raised a bunch of money on the stuff that I'm doing. This is currently, I'm going back and revisiting some, I did a lot of work on indium nitride nanostructures, which are bonding indium and nitrogen together to create a 8 nanometer sphere. And I raised a lot of money to work on that, and was never able to commercialize the process. And I'm kind of revisiting that process.
What's the usability of such a thing?
Indium nitride is very green sensitive, so you can make green photocell, green
Photodiodes.
yeah. You know, you make green photocells. You can make
Sounds like what emulating chloroplast or.
yeah. No, a lot of work on chloroplasts. I built stuff. Yeah, a lot of work on chloroplasts, many years. But yeah, green sensitivity is for a photocell is an issue because it's a problem, and so particularly if you're dealing with if you want a wide range of sensitivity in a solar cell, you want to dope it so that it it's active for green and blue and as border frequency as possible. And most materials roll off when when you start to get into the greens. You can pick them up in the UVs again, but green has been a traditional problem.
As a matter of fact, in the rollout curve around the yellows.
Yeah. Indium nitride has that and has some other interesting uses. And I can make it, but I couldn't commercialize it. I just found I can write my name with the fiber.
On anything.
Yes. I can go to the tattoo removal business and do it from 50 feet away.
I was thinking of emulating it with
Remove
a
the
quilt
arm
pen
along
and,
with it.
Yeah.
writing the Constitution onto a piece of metal.
Oh, I've got some high, ultra accurate positioning tables that will move things in nanometer, little ultrasonic hydroelectric, and it, yeah, you can get kinky, and I do.
I didn't bring anything for show and tell, but coincidentally, I have with me two battery testers for measuring cold cranking amps for robot batteries for robot competition. And what's new about these is they have printers built in, so I can characterize a battery for a team and then take the results to the batteries so that we can track them. That what I'm trying to do is help teams progress beyond using voltage as an indicator of is their battery charged, and the best way that teams have had to do comparing batteries has been with the impedance test,
Yep.
which is just a Ohm's law test. They no load, put a load, measure the voltage drop at current, and calculate the internal impedance. But it's an inverse relationship. So a good battery has a lower number, and the impedance goes up as the charge state of the battery goes down, and the impedance goes down as the whole battery size goes up, and goes down as the battery charge state gets closer and closer to fully charged. So it's really hard to differentiate, is this a good battery, and to compare batteries in a set using impedance. And what these use is conductance. They apply an AC waveform,
Yep.
AC waveform, and that it's funny watching them measure the impedance and capture that on a scope is easy to do.
Yep.
These, it's just junk down in the noise.
Yep.
It's a 1 volt signal, but they measure conductance, and then they use really good algorithms to map those to cold cranking amps. So these are automotive car battery testers.
Mhm.
And cold cranking amps is a linear number, and you get a bigger differentiation range in a batch of batteries. Looking at their between best to worst in a batch of batteries, you may have cold cranking amps between 70 and 200. Where if you're looking at impedance, you may have an impedance range between 11 and 23. So you've just got a much larger dynamic range, and most of the things are measuring impedance. If you're lucky, you get 1 decimal place. So it's the difference there over a broad range. So it's easier for students to appreciate the difference between, well, this battery measures 170 and this battery measures 120. How much better is the one that's better? And the cold cranking amps is also an indicator of how much power can be delivered in a battery can deliver into a motor load, a starter motor, which is very indicative of a much better indicator of how well it will power a robot in a robot game.
And they're all excited to see whatever you can deliver there.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited too.
You've seen these chips from TI? They call them fuel gauge.
Oh yeah,
chips.
yeah, those very cool fuel ump counters that they track the usage. Actually, I recommend for everybody that you can get for $50 or $60 on Amazon, cheaper on Alibaba. The load testers that they'll load the batteries down. You can do constant power, constant voltage, constant current. Load them down at 10 amps and test the batteries. Periodically to do a full real load test. But I recommend doing
Well,
this.
this is continuous. We're using it for a continuous operation because the unit that we're working on has to be able to stay unplugged for a certain amount of time. We have to know how much time, and can it perform the next operation? Is there enough
juice. that there is something for the robot batteries, a company called Playing with Fusion. It's nothing to do with fusion, so settle down. I thought the same thing, but for $80 they sell battery cables for FRC robot batteries with the fuel gauge built in, with a CAN bus interface, and they live on the battery and they track its cycle, its use, its abuse. I'm wanting to get one of those to characterize it.
The one that I'm playing with is I2C based.
I just remembered that I left my phone and my key sitting on the dashboard of my car, so.
It's
presuming it's
too
still
late
there, I
now.
should probably go get that.
It's too late. It's gone.
Your car has locked itself.
Yeah, it's gone. I was just thinking, your laser, can we marry that to the sumo robot? And
Take out the
If-
competition.
We'll all be wealthy if Nick can figure out how to do that within the 1 kilogram weight limit.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Oh, I can do it in the 1 kilogram weight limit. The thing just sits there, doesn't, no wheels, no nothing. It just sits there, fines and plastic, There's nothing that says the sumo robot has to move.
There is,
There is.
actually.
Okay,
No bricks.
There's a,
It has to leave the starting square. 5-inch square, brown lines.
They got a piece of electrical tape,
okay.
3/4 of an inch.
Well, it doesn't, it's.
Part of the robot has to cross that. So you can have something that just falls over.
At 250 watts, we can use a very, very small motor,
If it bumps when it fires.
Yep.
And part of it falls over, you have a little
Yep.
hinge thing that falls over.
The
It'd be okay.
250 watt will slice 1-inch dowel.
Oh, if I've got a nefarious mind.
Yes.
No, I'm thinking, you know how some of these kids, point laser pointers to airplanes flying over?
No, no.
That would actually cut the aluminum skin.
Yeah, no, we're talking long time in jail. The FAA is not like that. No, it's, I have enough respect for.
But if you happen to point that at a Soviet satellite, who's to say what might happen?
Oh, Star Wars.
I will tell you that the
Not the movie either.
ESP board I'm using, the Feather B2 or whatever, has one of those chips in it that is supposed to monitor your LiPo battery and give you what capacity and all kinds of other
Cycles.
information. And sometimes I get, it's I2C, it's internal to the, so it's on the.
Aren't these also similarly used in like EVs and stuff?
I'm sure they're different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
This one
it's
is
a
a
whole family.
3-cent thing. I'm sure the ones that are in
I-
EVs are bigger, but I'm having issues. I want to wake up, measure my battery voltage, send it to the network and go to sleep. And I only want to be awake for 40
And if
milliseconds
you
or
flip it
something.
over and show the back, it has the model number on the back. It's a Conway KW700, I believe.
I don't think you're gonna be able to read it though. There's no light on it.
One way.
Well, she got
You
the
turn
time
it
just
in
right.
close. And
There.
there,
Yeah.
you're gonna reflect it, yeah.
Yep, and this was like $55. And the neat thing about this one is you can edit the strings in memory, so you can store the name, date, event. That's what I'm wanting it for, so you'll know how old is the data that's taped to this battery.
I should have brought it. I bought one of those little scopes that's that size. It's a 200 megahertz, 70 megahertz bandwidth, 200 megahertz A/D converter with a built-in DVM, and it's Tektronix scope, but this is a little thing that you hook it on, and
But doesn't it require your laptop to get a decent, display and everything?
no, it's got display. No, this is
High res?
high enough res. So, all I want to do is see the signal.
Mhm.
I've got an I2 signal. I want to see that I've got something going on. I can bring down the big Tektronix if I get. Yeah, I've got the ones that use the laptops, but this is just a handheld, reasonably good resolution multimeter. I got it for like $130 on AliExpress, and it, I'm, it's got a lot of functions, and I'm learning to talk to it. I'll bring it next meeting. I'm quite happy with it. It's you're under and try to hook something up, and is it grounded? This is just, there's no grounding. It's all battery. It's
Floating.
yep, it's all floating nicely, and when you're dealing with considerable voltage.
Suicide cable, not necessary.
Yeah, it is, you do, it's a, I have, the isolated scope probes that, for IGBT testing, but it's easier.
I was thinking Keytronics as opposed to Tektronix.
Yep.
BK Precision, Keytronics, and one of those is shut down between HP and BK.
Well,
And
HP became Agilent. As far as I know, they're still in the scope business.
yeah, okay.
Keysight's big.
I had a UPS power supply thing start beeping, complaining about the battery, I guess. I replaced the battery. Here's this. So I hooked it up to my charger and it ran through a cycle and said it was 14 point something volts. This guy would tell me whether it was the UPS or the battery that
It's the battery. I can tell you now that I just replaced a battery that was just short of 6 years old, and I measured the impedance of it. And I have old robot batteries at home to be recycled because they're past being useful for robot batteries. But I dovetailed one into my UPS this in the last week, 2 weeks anyway.
okay.
And
You need it in the last 2 weeks.
it was in the last 2 weeks because
Everybody had
the
some
power
outages.
flickered and the UPS came on and would not stop beeping. I was so engrossed in the AI machine vision project I was working on. I listened to it sound that tone continuously for 45 minutes to try to finish what I was working on before it finally got the best of it. But it now has an old FRC robot battery in it. It's working fine now. But yes, this will tell you the impedance, and you can compare that because the impedance does give you, well, I like the cold cranking aspect, again, a more linear. But that's the thing that batteries are bad at, because they hold the batteries at too high a charge. That one was 6 years. So this is higher quality UPSs hold the batteries at better voltage. So that's why I always buy APC batteries, just because the batteries last longer because they have lower float voltages. That if you slide the
APC batteries or APC
APC
UPSs?
UPSs,
Okay.
because
That's what I use as well.
lead acid is a pretty well-known art. So, but you'll get drastically different standby usage of the same battery if it's in a UPS versus APC UPS versus a
Triplite.
triplet.
Triplite is horrible to batteries.
And I've even gone to, when I buy the APCs now, I get the larger versions just because they pay more attention to the battery charge. I think I'm getting to 1200 series now, but you get longer runtime, so it looks better in specs. If you compare this one that runs the battery voltage all the way up to one that doesn't run it all the way up, but the battery will last 2 years in this one and it'll last 5 years in the other one.
Yep, the battery gets stressed, and
Well, it creates those little
dendrites.
dendrites. That's what it is.
More of it's sulfation with the sealed lead acids.
Lithium ion batteries
Oh.
do that.
That's totally different than what I'm looking. Okay.
It's just nice. It's little, it has a reasonably good display. It does, it will track a 20 megahertz signal. It has a built-in function generator, volts, ohms.
I need one with true balanced inputs, differential inputs,
Yeah, no, this
two
is,
channel.
yeah, this has 2 channels.
Yeah, but I need balanced inputs.
Okay. But yeah,
For $100.
it's like $130, and it was just,
No, not for $100.
Yeah.
Not even for $600, I find out.
yeah, just, it was,
That's on Alibaba?
that was on, I think that was an eBay. You know,
Oh, okay.
You got it, I'm quite happy with it.
Can you send me a link maybe?
Sure. Well, it's, see, this is, yeah. That's the exact brand I got.
So there was some talk on the mailing list last week or so about using AI for generating code or coding.
Yeah.
Do it every day.
Yeah,
You do?
I do.
I would like somebody to do some kind of presentation
It's,
uh, on how it's done and
Well, so people have different,
If you want how to do it
Different
right,
ways
you have
of
some
doing it.
candidates. If you want to know how to kludge it and do it just dirt ugly as you could possibly do it, I'm your guy.
well,
I can do that too.
I've been doing it for the last 2 weeks and got really mad at
yeah,
Claude
no, it's
yesterday
right.
because it did not differentiate between Claude credits and Anthropic API credits. So it ran me through 4 different revisions of the machine processing code with 0 results because it was a silent error telling me that the Anthropic API credits had gone to 0 and it would no longer process.
It's,
I don't pay for any of I use ChatGPT, which I find to be better than Claude. Claude tends to hallucinate a bit more and brings me down a lot more rabbit holes. But I don't ever ask them to write entire chunks of code. I say, I have this problem, this and this is not working right. I might give it a snippet of code and it'll give me suggestions on how to fix it.
I
And
do
we-
the opposite of that.
And we bounce back and forth for a couple hours until we finally nail it down and then got something.
I have this thing where I've got 2 CPUs that are talking I2C and the language is JSON. And so I get into these several K long JSON objects, which I cannot for the life of me work out. And if I give them to GPT chat and say, parse this, it gives me the code. I say, parse this for Arduino or parse this for, one of the libraries. And
You give them all the data or just like a piece of the data?
no, I give them, this is the object that, this is what I'm trying to express.
Yeah.
Give me the,
When it code to create this.
yeah, give
to
me
create
the,
JSON or to parse the JSON.
well, both.
That's a very different approach than I've been using. Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, I've done that too, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I will create this gigantic JSON string and then I'll say, give me the parser for that, because it's nested arrays inside of, objects. And I'll use the JSON formatter to make sure that the thing is formatted correctly. But how do I write the code?
Well, the Loman library, which can be done in a single .h file,
Mhm.
it just comes back to you regardless of your language as a 2-dimensional array, key value pairs.
Yeah, no, I have not used that. And, what I've used is the ChatGPT. I just get lazy and say, give me it.
I have a set of 14 images that are my sample targets
Okay.
that I dragged and dropped those onto Claude and said, these are the rules I'm trying to follow to extract these data fields. And it processed it, spit all 14 out. And I've been chasing edge cases and could not in the last 2 weeks get closer than 13 of 14.
Mhm.
First try, it spit out all 14. And then I told it said, would you like me to create code to do this? And well, absolutely. I
No.
would.
I insist on writing the code myself.
Well, then it ran the code and got 11 out of 14. I'm like, hey, whoa, what happened here?
Yeah.
You got 14 out of 14 the first try. Oh, well, this isn't using the Claude machine vision, something else. Would you like me to do that? Yes. Do that.
Yes.
And did that and then walked me through creating a whole Google Cloud instance. So to run it up in the cloud and
Yep.
set up the whole, I've got a deploy bat. So when I ask it to make a change, I download a zip file with 18, drag it in, run deploy, it deploys it to Google Cloud.
Yep.
I run my test set of images.
Sometimes ask ChatGPT if it's God.
Well, what's funny is that when I can't get Claude to do what I want, I ask ChatGPT to create the prompt to tell Claude to do what I want.
Yeah, no,
And Claude always tells me that is a wonderful.
There was a funny
done
video
stuff like
of the three chat, the three AI engines asking each other questions in a Robin fashion, like Chinese telephone.
I've created a question on one and popped it into the exact same thing into the other. See what the difference is that they would give me. But, yeah.
So
Were
there's,
they big differences?
Huh?
Were they big differences?
Oh, huge differences.
Yeah.
Huge differences.
Could you tell which was right?
Well, it wasn't a matter of
Neither
being
one.
right, it's a matter of which one worked.
yeah.
Did one
Yeah,
work and one not?
Well, Chat GPT, so none of them work all the time or even most of the time. Okay, so you need to be very careful if you ask them to write a big chunk of code. Chances are, I mean, listened to people say, yeah, I told them what I wanted and they gave me a piece of code and it's been perfect ever since.
Nice.
And I'm thinking bullshit. Sorry, guys, this is being recorded, but I've never been able to get them to do that. To actually come out with code that worked right the first time. Now, what I'm doing is original research work. So ChatGPT has no clue how to do this to begin with. I have to give it all the baseline information. It's just calendar stuff that I'm doing. So, I mean, nobody's ever done what I'm trying to do before, where a calendar starts at sunset and ends, and the days ends at sunset instead of midnight, which means there's only one day a year that's 24 hours, and that's the one that the vernal equinox is in. The rest of the days of the year are either slightly more or slightly less. So when that happens, straight algorithms just don't work. You've got to figure out how to actually get it to work within that kind of
Do you take
situation.
latitude into consideration?
Huh?
I'm thinking of the 6 months a year that it's daylight and 6 months a year that it's dark up and Nome.
Well, okay. So I mean, so
Official location for
I'm
the
using
calendar, right?
Lisa's formulas for doing sunsets and sunrises, sunsets mostly. And his works in that area, but it all uses a Julian period day for everything. So, but his Julian period day is not proleptic. Mine, I had to rewrite that whole algorithm to make it proleptic. In other words, it's correct with the vernal equinox and sunsets from the beginning of when the Gregorian calendar normally starts, all the way for 3,004 years.
For which country? Because the Gregorian
No,
calendar
it doesn't-
started in different countries. Different.
No, but if it's proleptic, it doesn't matter. Proleptic means that so normally we would use the Julian calendar back to year one up to 1582 October.
The US colonies at 1753.
Okay, right. But if it's proleptic, you don't care about the revision because it's correct right from the beginning. You don't have to fix it. So a proleptic calendar is very different. The only place it's used is in astronomy because they got to know exactly when these heavenly events happen. And you can't do that if you try to use the
Astronomy and
calendar.
religion.
Huh?
Astronomy and religion.
Yeah, there we go.
I was just thinking like Germany and France switched over 1 year and it was only 11 days.
We were 1700 something. I
In
forget.
1753, we were off by 14 days.
It's caused riots. I mean, people thought they were,
Well, but you
Even
Well,
know,
no,
Pope
people didn't
Gregory.
lost their birthday.
Yeah.
If you ever look at gravestones,
Yeah.
there's 2 years on a lot of gravestones because
The year, it's,
on one calendar, they died in 1 year, and on a different calendar, they died in a different year.
But at the time of Pope Gregory, most people don't realize this. He only compensated 10 days out of the 12 that were actually wrong. He didn't compensate for everything. We're still to this day 2 days
Still
off.
off. Yep.
To
That's
this
why I'm
day,
tired
we're
in
2
the
days
morning?
off.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that why I'm tired in the morning?
that's exactly.
you mean it's Saturday?
That's daylight savings time.
Is it Saturday or Wednesday?
So he was only trying to align it for Easter. I don't even know if they understood the whole concept of the vernal equinox at the time. I mean, how could they have measured it? It's, you have to do it all.
The
manually.
Romans understood vernal equal.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
No,
In fact,
maybe they did.
the Sumerians did.
So
Look at somebody who
but
researched.
that's
all
not
this
how
stuff.
they adjusted the calendar. They didn't adjust it on the vernal equinox. They adjusted it on getting Easter closer. Because the farmers wound up planting crops at the wrong time and they weren't maturing and their crops would die and all this stuff because the calendar had shifted.
Just like, next Friday is the start of a festival or carnival or, Strobton, which, three festivals recognizing that week before, Lent starts for a lot of.
That's gonna be fun in Rio de Janeiro.
Exactly.
Rio de Janeiro.
So you get, Fosnacht night, you've got Mardi Gras, and you've got Shrove Tuesday, all culminating on that same night.
And they have a parade for anyone.
Brazil.
So Rio and New Orleans and, let's see, Barcelona. I think, Venice and of course the German ones, the Fosnacht ones, you got Berlin and a few other places, but they all got that Fat Tuesday equivalent.
Just one comment, getting back to AI. So this article came into my inbox, which seems to be pretty well researched. And the guy was, he works in insurance actuarial stuff and uses AI all the time. And he was noticing some problems. And so he gives all of his data, all these tests he ran with all of the various AIs, and they appear to be getting worse. And so how he's like he said he's very pro AI, he uses it all the time, but one of the problems is the AI is starting to use AI output as its input. And
Yep.
so
That's a problem.
it actually, yeah, it is. And so he said it, and one thing I don't understand, he just claimed this, was that the AIs they're rewarded for getting solutions that you accept.
Mhm.
You wouldn't think that there would be rewards, but anyway,
yes.
I don't know why
Well,
that
it's not
happens.
rewarded in an emotional way.
It's
I
it's a
understand
point
that.
value. They
Well,
put
you
a
don't
larger
know that,
point
but-
value on.
No,
But-
it's very
So
emotional.
because of that, they're solutions that aren't really solutions, or that sweep things under the rug, and they're accepted as solutions. So they get out there as
There's solutions.
solutions. And
Same
so,
thing happens to people.
yeah. But anyway, he has graphs over time of the various outputs and, how useful, accurate they were or not. And
Well, the Claude image processing gives answers for the most challenging images I throw at it that are great, as long as you don't care a lot about accuracy. It's determined that it's better to guess at an answer and share that than to not answer it.
that's
No,
the point he made.
and that's exactly what ChatGPT does all the time.
Or guess.
It has to it has to give me an answer, and and when I know this is going to be really difficult, it's difficult for me. It's certainly going to be difficult for the AI. It starts making things up. And that's when I start going down rabbit holes with it.
To be productive with AI, you have to recognize when it's wrong, because it's wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
So how do literary folks handle it? Because they've got the AIs writing stories and things like that for them.
Well, is a story right or wrong? Versus, I
If
want
you
to know
have
if this
fact-
text string is
If you have
0
facts
or
that you
5.
can compare against, it's one thing, but if it's a fiction,
If it's a fictional story, then
Humans are writing poor
it's
fiction.
whatever it gives you
Eons.
is the story. How would they know if it's wrong? No, if it's wrong. No, if it's based on real facts, then you could check those.
or if you've got storyline canon.
But how many romance novels are probably written now by AI? Write me a,
Too many news articles, I can tell you that.
yeah.
I get aggravated when I'm a
half the
This is
videos on
fabricated.
YouTube
Yeah, I know.
are now AI.
Over and over.
And you can always tell, there's a woman's voice and a man's voice that is in every freaking
Yes.
one of
I
them.
know, yes.
Yep.
At least
You
they
can
could change
tell
it,
who
but
they
no.
are.
And they've the accents too.
Yeah,
They have an
yeah.
Indian accent, a British accent, yeah. Have you guys seen the video for Redneck Star Trek?
No.
There's several of them, but they've got them doing songs and things like this, and they basically, the AI has planted the images from this TV series onto these other characters. So you got Riker with
Sleeves,
Yep.
well,
I've seen it, yeah.
tattoos, sleeves.
tattoos, yeah,
Tattoos, yeah.
and the
Post-truth society.
You know, with all the videos and everything that's coming out now from AI, how does the AI know when it's scraping the web, whether or not it was generated by
That's the
another
point.
AI?
you were just talking about.
That's,
It doesn't, well, that's just it. It doesn't care. But the people that run the AI should damn well.
No,
kinda
they
care.
don't.
Now, as long as they get more hits and more people accept their answers, that
They don't care.
that clears the bank.
yeah, well, what this guy said was the test that he ran was giving it data with a column missing. And
Yep.
a
Yep.
lot of the AIs just
Okay.
went right past it. Occasionally, a few would flag it and say there's a column missing, but that was not the majority of them.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's arguing that
another
there's all kinds of hidden
We got multiple
hidden problems now that are much more difficult to.
Figure it out.
The most
Yeah.
accurate description I've seen of using an AI tool is think of it as a very eager and very well-intentioned lab assistant who's not very bright.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's, it's great if you're writing a proposal, you give it, the parameters, and then then you rewrite it in, but don't believe it the way it is.
I like the AIs that test themselves against actual data that goes along. So they're trying to match curves and things like that. And as their model goes out of whack, they bring it back into what actually occurred. Of course, the weather models are all screwed up.
I was going to say, one of the challenges with the AI is to make sure that you're trying to test it against data that was already not in the training set. Because if somehow it was already scraped in the training set, it will do really good at answering those questions.
No, I mean, it's continuously rebringing it because history is continuously happening.
Most of them have some fixed time that they're, the date. It's like, okay, there's some data after this date, but most of the data was before this date. Had Claude tell me all that for the different models.
A really dumb lab assistant who's not that honest.
Well, never assume ill intent when incompetence adequately describes.
Yeah.
He doesn't know he's lying to you.
ChatGPT is beginning to tell me, I would call it out on something that it would say to tell me to do, and it would go, "Oh, thank you for stopping us going down a rabbit hole."
Eliza, remember the old Eliza program? There was a whole bunch of people when we were developing on Berkeley Unix, and they inserted in place of the Bourne shell and the C shell
Should I kill the video, by the way?
new shells